I am Justin Michael. I'm a futurist who wrote the book Tech Powered Sales. I'm also the co-founder of Hype Cycle, and I'm here with Ron Oelgiesser from Rightbound.io. What's your take on the number one challenge for outbound teams?
So, from what we see at this point, we've been speaking and working with hundreds of outbound sales team and at different stage of growth, smaller companies just figuring it out to teams with tens of outbound SDRs. And what I would say one thing that we see across the board is lack of consistency. Teams, even great teams, have sometimes great months and SDRs that are overperforming, and then the next month it's like 50% of that. And I think that this, I'm trying to, when I'm thinking of like the source of it, and I'd love to hear your opinion on that as well, it's just the fact that there's, again, no consistency. Certain SDRs see something that's working, so they just apply only that, but eventually it's exhausts itself, and then the next month it's not working as well, or they're going by campaigns, and then, okay, this campaign is going great, but then they exhausted all the leads that would be responsive to this, and now the next month when they're trying it, it's not working anymore. I think there's a lack of like being more consistent, trying multiple things at the same time, having some repetitive, machine that is doing the same thing over and over.
In your opinion, what's the best paradigm? Should they be going after account-based territories? How do you split the universe on this?
On this one, I think also there's no silver bullet. I think, many leaders, go with, bet on one strategy and apply it. And if it works, it's great. But then, if it doesn't, then what? I look at it like investment, diversify your portfolio. I've been talking to many SDR leaders and VP sales saying, we're only account-based. We give 100 accounts to our SDRs and that's it for the quarter, and we don't want anything else. Great. The next quarter you talk to them and you figure out, well, it's not enough. They don't have enough on their plates. They can't meet their quota. Okay, they need to self-prospect. They need to go off to new territory. So instead of just saying, okay, this is, the new fashionable mode of work, and I don't get me wrong, named account is great. Working in pods is amazing. But again, you can't go to the extreme. If you adopt only one strategy, most likely that you will get stuck at a certain point. And I think having a healthy mix and saying, okay, I have tiers, I have named account, but I also let them self-prospect. I also let them go on their own accounts. I divide it by territories and by accounts is going to promise you more chances of, as I go back to the previous question, consistent result over time.
What about the role of personalization and, some of those really precious prospects? We're always worried, can you sequence at a C-level? Should you semi-automate? How do you handle that?
So as a CEO of a company that is talking about autonomous all day long and how machines could do an amazing job at optimizing your cadence and making decisions for you, and we can talk about it, I would actually say something that is maybe going to be surprising for you. I do think that I do believe in the value of personalization, and I do think that there's certain things that no machine, no NLP, no AI can do, at least not yet. And I do think it's worth the SDR time. If you got the C-level executive, the VP of the exact company, of the exact prospect that you want to go after on your radar, you got the right contact information, you got the right phone number, maybe even they showed some initial engagement on something hyper-personalized, invest all the time, how exactly you're going to reach out to them, what you're going to write to them, be creative, because you really have, one chance, maybe two. So yeah, I'm all for it. The thing is again, don't take it to the extreme. If you say, okay, everything is hyper-personalization, there's no way you have enough minutes in the day to make anything. And then you're starting to hyper-personalize to every, decision maker in every company, even if it's like tier 2, tier 3, less likelihood, and eventually you're just not going to get the results that you need.
How do you recommend evaluating which tech solutions should you adopt?
Well, use Rightbound. No, seriously, even with Rightbound, by the way, we always tell customers that we really qualify and we really sit with them and understand like what's the pain point. Do you really have pain points that we could address? Do you really have challenges in your process? Because Rightbound weekend is all about automating the existing processes that you have and making better for you. Is there a challenge in the existing process? Are your SDR working fine and you're happy with the results? Then why change something? Then don't buy anything, right? I think, again, it goes back to kind of people are trying to be trendy and like, okay, they heard about a cool tool. Everyone is talking about intent. Intent tools are great, but maybe you're in an industry that intent doesn't work, right? You have some new technology that no one is showing intent. You buy the intent solution, you'll get nothing. Data sources. I'm not going to mention names, but there are the leaders in data sources that have, amazing data for, let's say, 70% of the cases. But what if you're in a niche market and they don't have data for you? So don't go after and buy the solution because you heard that's the best solution. You need to really dive into what's your pain point, what's your challenge that you're trying to address. Are you in a specific industry that requires a specific solution? Are you in a specific use case and workflow that needs something different than what the typical SDRs and your SDR friends, maybe something even that worked for you in a previous company is not going to work for you in a new company that you shifted. I think that's my best advice on that.
Let's say I have a lot of solutions. I'm using ZoomInfo. I've got SalesLoft, maybe Outreach, maybe Revenue.io. I've got Sales Navigator. I've got all these solutions. How does Rightbound help me? I mean, aren't I set with the stack I have?
So as I said earlier, it depends on your needs, first and foremost. I would say something very simple. If your reps are meeting their outbound quota and delivering meetings every month consistently, and you're happy with the result, don't touch it. Don't talk to us or any other vendor. You're good. But if you're not, and you want to increase the efficiency, and you feel that outreach or SalesLoft are great in helping, as you mentioned earlier, making sure that people are on track and are consistent, are not missing anything, and you're using data sources like Sales Navigator as another to find your prospects, but you feel that it's not there yet. They're not meeting their quota. They're wasting too much time on prospecting. They're wasting too much time on trying to outreach manually, and they're not meeting what they're supposed to. And they should be spending more time on the phone having conversation. They should be spending more time trying to convert leads rather than to find leads. Then consider Rightbound. And we don't replace Outreach or SalesLoft. We're actually great partners with them. We actually recommend our customers, if they don't have one of those solutions, to have one of those solutions in place, because we deeply integrate with that. We don't want to come in and change where the SDRs work on a day-to-day basis. We want to be this secret engine at the back that is working for you, that is taking off your plate all this sourcing, whether it's within named account, we'll source leads within name account for you from all the different data sources. If it's new accounts, we'll find and expand your TAM, and then, as you said, do this initial engagement with the prospects, and then push it to your outreach based on your territories, based on your SDRs, etc. And then you take it from there. Then you personalize, then you call, then you connect on LinkedIn, then you do the manual action, the follow-up action that the sales rep needs to do on Outreach, on SalesLoft, on HubSpot. So we don't replace those. We work very nicely with them. We also read information back from them to learn, to feed the machine with information on what worked, what didn't work. Was this actually resulted in a meeting, an opportunity, or is this a irrelevant prospect and you need to find someone else in the account to source?
Can we break out of the SDR AE model? Are there future models to explore? Is it this man and machine model? Where do you see the architecture of the modern sales org going?
I've been seeing just like there was a clear trend of like you need SDRs and only SDRs are doing the prospecting and doing the initial outreach to prospects, and AEs are only supposed to get opportunities and work them towards close. I've seen more and more recently in the last year or two, teams going backwards and saying, okay, AEs still needs to have their own, sales prospect and have an end-to-end sales cycle AE that is, starting from the beginning of even almost calling all the way to the end. I think this is actually great. We've seen customers that are adopting this, as you said, machine plus AE model. Or machine plus full cycle rep model, where the machine really helps do a lot of the repetitive functions of SDR for the AE. But then the AE takes it from there and still doing some of the calling and the following up and some of the prospecting. I think SDRs would still extremely be valuable in places where, again, where it's extremely complex and requires personalization and requires real human touch to get the attention of the buyer. And I think from what I've seen, like AEs in every given moment will always prioritize for the right reasons, working on an opportunity that's more advanced and working on an early cold lead. And I think that's an inherited problem, not problem, but it's inherited in the structure of how sales is built. So there will be a room for SDRs as we go forward, I think, in those strategic accounts, strategic opportunities, because they're tasked only with finding new relevant people within the target accounts to get their attention and to get them to the table, to get them to a demo or for a conversation.
How to actually calculate the ROI, make the case, and sell this into companies, because I think the opposite problems there. I think there's actually a paradox of an underinvestment in the appropriate sales tech.
And the CFO is saying, "What you just purchased your solution X for $50,000, and now you're coming back with another 50, 70K." I mean, but what is a mystery to me is how people can say that they don't have a budget, and at the same time they say that they hire 5, 10 additional sales reps or additional SDRs. As you said, I mean, sometimes people are just pouring money on hiring people and not giving them the proper tools that they need, not giving them the proper training that they need, and the proper structure that they need. And they're just, because it's easier to say, yes, we need to grow, we're a fast growth company and we need to grow. And I think this is the discussion that needs to happen. And with a lot of sales leader, we help them to go back to their CFO and have this discussion, showing an ROI calculator from other customers that we have, from case study customers that we have, showing, okay, these are similar organizations with this amount of SDRs and this kind of sales process. This is what they could expect. And this is the level of efficiency and time saving that was achieved. And as a result, this is the improvement of the performance of each and every SDR. And yes, it's going to cost you another $70,000, but within a few months, you'll see that back. And if you're really leveraging the platform correctly, within a year, you'll see whatever, 10x of that, 20x of that. It really depends. I don't want to make over promises, but you're definitely going to see the results and the ROI. And this is a discussion that, I would say futuristic VP sales and VP sales that really understand that their goal is not just to hire people, but actually to make their team as successful as possible and to be a rising star.
Would you take potentially a full-time equivalent, like one headcount, and take that investment instead of hiring that person, take that money and invest it into better sales tech stack for the rest of the team?
If it's your first or second SDR, of course I wouldn't. But if it's your 11th SDR, and if your existing 10 SDR are great people, but as you said, don't have the full training or don't have enough efficiency, and based on conversation with other people in the industry, that other SDR teams are doing 15 meetings, 12 meetings a month, and yours are doing 7, then why are you hiring more and setting them not to be as successful, not to meet their quota? Eventually those people will leave because they'll see other opportunities in other places. So absolutely, in those cases, the right decision for you to make is to invest in, and forget Rightbound for a second, but invest in the processes, in the efficiencies, in more technology, in sales ops that would help you make this team great, successful, efficient, and then go higher.
Can you kind of reveal if this is a piece of the roadmap, the GPT-3 machine learning for writing elements, and how are you looking to deploy that in the next couple of years?
We treat your existing pieces of content as building blocks with all the merge fields, etc. And we let our machine play with that, with the order, with the timing, with sentences within them, etc. But we don't currently write content at all. We would never write a sentence from scratch for you. I think that from what I've seen around, most of those technologies cannot work unsupervised. You can just let them, they can help you start great content, but they can't just do it for you and you can trust it to actually be sending to prospects, at least not now. Will it be there? At least for simple use cases, follow-up emails, shorter emails, yes. Are we gonna do it? Depends.
Where are we heading in sales development?
One, the concept of outbound and sales that needs to reach out and to find prospects that were not looking for you is still going to be there. People were doing it with a Rolodex and phones, 20 years ago, and they still do it today. What we think has to change is that it's not sustainable. People hate it. That's the honest truth. Buyers hate it because they're being bombarded. And sellers hate it because they have diminishing return. So it's like an arm race of sellers are don't have enough, so they send more and they bombard more people and they try to reach more, and then buyers just get too much in their inbox, in their LinkedIn and phone calls. They just ignore everything. I see a world where there's a path for matchmaking. I think that what we have in AI and what we've been doing in marketing and advertising for the last few years has really proven that AI can be the matchmaker, that AI can really analyze the buyer needs and the behavior, the seller best match for buyers, and really minimize the noise, help minimize the noise and create more connections of the most relevant accounts, of the most relevant people in the account with the most relevant sellers. It's not easy. You need a lot of data for that. You need to actually have machines further learn and improve. But if you ask me what should happen in 5 years from now, I want to see outbound that is more like a matchmake than just a cannon that's shooting all over the place. And that's where we go. This is why we started Rightbound. Right now, again, we believe that the biggest step that needs to happen in order to allow it is what we call, again, autonomous prospecting. It means that decisions on who you reach out to as a seller, who you reach out to, when you reach out to, which person in this account you reach out to, all those decisions that today are being done by the sales rep should be done by a machine, because machine would have more information about whether it's the right time in the right company, the right person, and what's the best path to get the attention of that person. And once we have that, now we can lower the volume on right? Once machines has proven that they can do that, you can lower the volume and send fewer emails and fewer connect requests and reach out to fewer people, because you're still going to have good results. Are we there yet? Is everything working smoothly and it's perfect? No. Is it showing initial results and showing that it's going in this direction? Absolutely. We have customers that love it and just adopt this as their theme for outbound, and we think that's where the world will go.